Hello and welcome to episode 43 of Fergo and the Freak. I'm that bloke from Rugby League Project, Andrew Ferguson. You can find me on Twitter at AndrewRLP. Joining me once again is League Freak, who you can find on Twitter at League Freak. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing very well, Andrew, and I'm really excited for this podcast. So let's get stuck straight into it.
Absolutely. Today we've got a returning guest, which means he's now our second official co-host.
Yeah.
It's James Smith from Inside Sport. How you going, mate?
Really well, really good, thanks. It's, I've been counting down to this for ages. It's going to be really fun.
Absolutely. Now, I believe Freaky has received an email, which is rare for us, about some of the things we're going to discuss today. So what's the first matter of business there for us today, mate?
Well, this is good because I just shut down my email account, which is great. But
production quality here, mate, is spot on.
Well, I'm going to sack the intern. So the first one that they were talking about was Daryl Eastlake calling the Origin games, which did make them feel a bit special, hey?
Madam sounds huge.
Yeah, everyone's got to do it. Everyone's got to do the accent and the call, don't they? It's so good.
Yeah. It very much was part of State of Origin early on. And even when I was in high school, we used to do the whole Daryl Eastlake thing. It was a lot of fun. When did he stop calling the Origin games? It would have been probably the very early 90s, right?
Yeah, I think it was 94. 94. Not long after Wally retired. Two Kings left at the same time.
I feel like it was earlier than 94, though, hey?
Yeah. Was he doing it when O'Connor kicked that conversion from the sideline? Was that is his voice on that soundtrack? Or
it's a good question.
Because that was 91. So
actually, you might be right. He might have stopped in 90. I know he did the 1990 series. That might have been his last.
Yeah. No, it's just but you're right though. It was like sorry, my voice is going. It was like the the wallpaper for State of Origin, wasn't it? Like you had the actual game, but it just wasn't the same unless he was calling it and getting overexcited about a line break and then a pass. It would be the most magnificent thing in rugby league you've ever seen. But and you believed it because it was his voice was attached to it. So it was awesome.
I've got a question. Do you reckon Ray Warren mimics Big Daryl? Because I don't remember Rabs in the 80s calls doing the big talk like Daryl did. I don't think he picked it up afterwards.
Yeah, I reckon you're right. Because his commentary became the norm. That's how you did Origin commentary going forward. I think you're right, Fergo.
Yeah, it makes me I'm trying to think. I guess he probably learnt a lot from Daryl Eastlake as well in terms of, and most commentators would have after he called the game. I know that I've heard Ray Warren talk about you get up when the crowd gets up, you start, not cheering, but you sort of rise to the occasion with the crowd and you sort of take cues from them. So I wonder if that's something that plays into that. It's interesting because I'm a rugby league commentator now. And
you've been saying that, but where do you commentate so I can hear you?
I commentate on Swire Sports. It's 999 FM.
Yeah.
And they do the Canterbury Cup. What else have I called? I think I've called Canterbury Cup, Jersey Flag, and I did the Harold Matthews Grand Final, I believe it was. Yep. So just those sorts of matches.
Grassroots
first grade match, grassroots. Yeah, I'm concentrating on the grassroots. Kind of like Mitchell Moses. I don't want to do Channel 9 yet, okay? I'm just focusing on, Harold Matts and Canterbury Cup. But it's interesting when you do it because it's almost a skill you've got to learn. And so I can see where a main commentator, which is something I could never do, where he would be picking up cues from other commentators. And I guess before Daryl Eastlake, who would have been the main commentator before him?
Gosh, in Origin or rugby
just
league in general.
Rugby league.
Well, in Origin they started with Billy J. Smith, wasn't it? In Queensland, he did the first few games there because they were all played in Queensland.
All right.
Yeah, that's the one. And I loved him because he'd call under the post the goal mouth,
That's right.
He'd say that a lot, and you'd think, far out, I've never heard that term in my life. Yeah, if you watch one of his games, it's he used to say it every 2 or 3 minutes. It was hilarious.
That's brilliant. The goal mouse.
Yeah, underneath the goal mouse.
I'm bringing it back.
I just one that I just thought of was who was it before him? It would have been Rex Mossett, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It was definitely Rex. He was a bloke who wanted to produce, manage, and commentate every single thing he ever did.
Is that right?
No one else does anything. I'll even do the colour commentary on the sideline if I have to. You running down the steps. Okay, I'm on the sideline.
If you're Rex Mossett, you're allowed to demand that sort of thing, aren't you?
And who's going to argue with him?
That's right.
So who would you two say is the best commentator right now? Best TV commentator?
Vossi.
Really?
Yeah, Vossi.
I believe it's Dan Ganane.
In the close second, yep.
Yeah, I go Dan Ganane and then Rabs still. Even though he retired like 4 years ago, we had a big farewell tour, and then he still calls every week. I don't get it.
The John Fallon of commentators.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Rabs?
Yeah.
Because like with the magazine, I get invited to a lot of Fox Sports stuff, and I was talking to Vossi a few years ago, and he was saying to me, like, there's all this talk about Rabs retiring, and when's he going to retire, blah, blah, blah. And Vossi said, well, Rabs is probably already retired, as you just said, Freaky. Like, he's already retired, like, he's doing what he loves. Like, think of it that way, yeah.
It is pretty special when you do the commentary because you feel like it feels special. It's hard to explain. Like you get to go behind the scenes of everything and you get your own little booth and all that sort of stuff. And it really is so much fun. Like I can't even imagine what it's like to be flown from place to place to do it. It just must be a dream job.
Well, the Rabs doesn't really like the flying part of it though.
Doesn't he?
No. There was actually an article I saw from might have been Buzz Rothfield last week. He was talking about how hard the commentators for Channel 9 had to do it all because they now have to all fly in economy. They don't get to fly in business anymore, except Rabs because he demands to be up the front because he hates flying.
Oh, right.
That was such a great piece of journalism. I'm so glad I know that now.
Yeah, as we were saying the other day on the podcast, there were all the journos that went over for the State of Origin, all like hack comedians, where they were talking about the flights and what happened on flights, because there was the James Maloney story that they come up with, which was just silly, and the commentators one, and then there was players who was returning on what flight, and it was like, come on, dudes, get better stories. We need better than this.
Yeah, the general rugby league fan doesn't care about that sort of stuff.
No,
they just want to read about the players, not what the journos were on and what on their flights and whether Kalen Ponga caught the red eye or not. They're not interested in that. I don't care.
No fan did.
No.
And acting like it was some big thing too. It's like, oh, what were they doing on the red eye? It's like, who cares? Like, I don't care. When they're playing football next weekend, I'll care. But right now, I don't care what they were doing.
I just love the fact that Buzz was trying to tell Ben Eichen, you've got to consider what these blokes go through in State of Origin.
Yeah, because Benny Eichen wouldn't know. Just being there.
And Buzz clearly does.
Yeah, I saw you going off on Twitter about that one, and it was a good call. Yeah.
You can just because you listen to it, you watch it back, and you can see Eichen clearly gets a bit shirty over it. He just cuts straight to a break, like very coldly. Okay, we'll be back after the break. And went, oh, he's not happy.
I noticed that too when I was watching it. I'm glad you picked that up. Yeah, because he dead set didn't he? He just ended it about 5 seconds after he said that. Yeah,
like he said, we're not talking about this anymore. Cutting it off straight away. I went, thank you, Ben. I was brilliant.
I wish that Ben Eichen was a little bit angrier, though. Hey, like, can you imagine if somebody said that to Gordon Tallis or Willie Mason or someone? It would have been fantastic.
I'd love it if you had said it to Willie.
Fantastic viewing that would have been.
Oh yeah, you should have that as part of Controversy Corner. Is just have Buzz say something stupid to Willie Mason. Just have Willie Mason go nuts on him. It'd have to be on after 10:30 at night though. Get a bit violent.
They should call Controversy Corner Everyone's Dying, because it just looks like a bunch of dying people talking about stuff no one cares about.
Well, I thought 70s opinions would have, or 80s opinions would have been better.
Here's one. Talking about commentators. Does Graham Hughes, for you guys, does he still have it? Does he take you back to the 80s and 90s? His voice hasn't really changed all that much, has it?
Yeah, the 90s, definitely. Every time I hear his voice, I think Channel 10.
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't heard him call for years and years. Is he calling somewhere?
Occasionally he calls an SCG game or something, doesn't he?
Yeah, they pull him out for retro round. But I thought he'd be back because they've gotten rid of that other guy who was commentating last year. What was his name?
Matt Nable?
Yeah.
The bloke who got excited every time nothing was going on. Oh, and he's passed the ball! Oh, and then he scores a try.
But yeah, they got rid of him. But yeah, I just thought, okay, they must be bringing Graham Hughes back. But he hasn't really done any games, has he? Yeah.
No, I think they've moved Matty. I keep getting his surname. I think they've moved him in from sideline commentator to a main caller.
Matty
Russell.
Matty Russell, yeah.
Matt Russell. And I think they brought in Brenton Speed, I think is his name as well.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, I think he's all right. I see people complaining about his calls when on Twitter when he's calling the game, but I don't think he's too bad at all.
No, he's all right. I think the only reason they put a bit of shit on him is because he does A-League as well. I think there might be a bit of residual sort of other codeness about him.
Right. But they don't ever go. Vossi, hasn't Vossi called some NBL games?
Yeah.
He's also called a Nickelodeon slime contest as well, which I saw on TV last night on the kids channel.
Yeah,
I'm sitting there at dinner and going, "That's Vossi's voice. What the hell's going on?" The kids, this kid's throwing slime at one another. I went, "Oh, good on you, Vossi. He's getting kids indoctrinated into what rugby league sounds like at an early age."
Yeah, and I interviewed him 2 years ago or something like that, and I asked him what his career highlight was, and he said, I don't know about a career highlight, but the most unusual thing that he commentated on was Disney's Dancing on Ice at the Sydney Entertainment Centre. So there you go. He's done everything, hasn't he? Yeah.
Oh, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
We're
what
thinking about
there, Freaky?
What's that?
I said, what else you got on there?
What else did I have on there? I should have brought it up while I said that I didn't have it up, eh? That's what she said. What was another one? Oh, the person wanted to talk about, and it was Bartram13, a long-time listener, and a long-time follower of the site and my site and everything, you know, both of my sites, leaguefreak.com and rugbyleagueproject.com. He wanted to talk about toe pokers.
Ah, yes. What a forgotten art that is.
It's weird when you watch it now and you think, how the hell did they manage as well as they did? Like, it's kind of strange that it was for so long just how people kicked the ball. And I guess it changed when the synthetic ball come in. But yeah, it's like if you showed a young person now a toe poker, they'd be like, what the hell's going on? They would think it was a piss take.
Yeah, it's because it's completely random, isn't it? Like you're hitting a round object with a round object, really. Like, yeah, and it's funny because when the round the corner came in, there's somebody who brought that in. I can't remember who it was.
John Gray.
Oh, that's it. That's who it was. Yeah. In the 70s, when that came in, and I remember watching blokes like Ross Conlon and all those sort of people do round the corner and Courier and all those blokes. I just used to sit there after watching Mal Meninga and Mick Cronin and stuff, like do their toe poking. I just used to think with these round the corner kickers, like how can you tell where it's going to go? Like how on earth can you tell? Like your body isn't even facing the goal when you're kicking it. But that just was how prehistoric everybody was about the new way of doing things. Hey, yeah.
It's absolutely spot on because I suppose Mal Meninga in his early days, too, especially playing for Australia and Queensland, he used to have phenomenal goal kicking records with the toe poking.
Yeah.
There's one game he had 7 from 7, and he kicked a few from the sideline for Queensland as well. And you think, he's the best goal kicker there is. He was probably kicking at about 69% or something like that.
and I've just called him random.
Yeah.
Maybe he needs me to sit him down and tell him all about goal kicking. Maybe I don't know.
Thing is, though, with the way Mal Meninga was built, and I say this as someone with a wide foot, can you imagine how wide Mal Meninga's foot is, though? It'd be like hitting it with a couple of cricket bats or something. Maybe that helped him.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it probably didn't it? Yeah, bigger surface area to hit it with.
A wider foot, yeah. Like, I don't know. Maybe we should find that out. It'd be great to meet Mal Meninga and say, can I have a look at how wide your feet are? That'd be fantastic. Just
that would be at all weird.
Yeah.
Can I touch it?
I'm trying to nail an interview with him down, so I'm going to ask him that, Freaky. I'm going to ask him.
Excellent.
Yeah. So it'll be the first and last question I ask, I reckon. Yeah.
No, you ask two questions that would really make him happy. Say, first, Mal, can I just look at how wide your foot is? And second, tell us about your political career. And I'm sure after that, he would just be so happy to talk to you. It'd be great.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Just forget his 97 test matches and no, far out. No, and isn't it funny how for all that time that soccer's been around, like and rugby league going up alongside it, like it took until the 70s for somebody to think soccer does round the corner kicking, and there seem to be a lot of good kickers in that. Like, why don't we try and do the same thing? It just seemed to take forever for rugby league to catch on to around the corner style, didn't it?
Yeah, and it made so much sense to do it when you look back on it. But yeah, it just seemed inherently wrong to do it.
Yeah,
I often wonder if there was equipment cheating that went on, because there was a story back in the early to mid 80s where some of the Bulldogs players wore shoulder pads that were made out of fiberglass. And that was against Parramatta. And I wonder if a few players may have thought of a different, more subtle one where they just put steel cap boots on so they could kick goals a bit more easily. Because those big old heavy leather balls, especially when wet, they could break ankles, those things.
Do you reckon that happened? Do you reckon they weighted their boots down? Like, do you reckon?
I reckon they might have just put a little bit of steel across the front of the toe. Wouldn't have weighed them down too much. And players like Mal, it wouldn't matter anyway because he didn't use speed. He just ran through things.
That's true.
It makes me wonder if back then they had like kicking balls that they'd bring out like they do in the NFL. They have specific balls that the kickers will prefer. And I can't remember what like they break them down somehow a little bit before they kick with them. So I believe that they're not just brand new balls that they use. They use like proper kicking balls that they've sort of kicked in a little bit. I wonder if they maybe were doing that back then with rugby league balls. You don't reckon?
Nah, mate. I've read match reports of games in France where, in practice games and stuff like that, one of the players kicked a goal and it went over into some person's backyard where there was an angry dog in there and they couldn't get the ball back, so they just ended training.
That's great.
They didn't have enough for a training session. They weren't going to have enough for a game.
Wow.
And then on Vossi's The Fan, it was a few weeks ago. There was a test in New Zealand, I think, and they lost all the match balls, and so someone I think threw a training ball onto the field, this fluoro green thing, and Mal Meninga's gone. He's looked at it. He's playing. He's looked at it and said, "Okay, it's a ball. Let's play with this thing." Ridiculous.
There you go. Rugby league's ability to adapt.
It reminds me of when you take a ball to school. The person that had the ball was the king. It was great. Yeah. I remember playing footy with tennis balls.
That's how we did it out west, didn't we? Freaky?
Yeah. You find whatever you got. Tennis balls was probably the worst one we used. We would use soccer balls sometimes. I remember we used a gridiron ball, a bright blue gridiron ball for a long time. That was always fun when somebody kicked it.
But you're right about being the king of the game, but you're always thinking, shit, I hope this ball doesn't pop or, go over the fence where the dog is. Whereas nobody else cared about that sort of stuff, did they? It's like, it's not our ball.
That was the peril of being king.
Yeah, that's true. big responsibility. Yeah.
Where I grew up, everyone brought a football all the time, and sometimes when there was summertime on, they wanted to play basketball. We had to try and play basketball with a footy. That was a little innovative.
Wow.
Hence why I was so shit at basketball.
We used to go to because the basketball at my school, the basketball courts were right next to where we play footy. So every so often, we would just go into the basketball courts and kick field goals into the basketball nets.
Wow.
Yeah, we had fun.
How many did you get?
I was pretty good at kicking those sorts of things. I was better at sort of aiming a field goal rather than going for distance. So I was good at kicking those ones and kicking the ones where you sort of stand on the sideline and try and curve them back and around. I was good at those sorts of ones, but going for distance, I wasn't great.
That's what she said.
How dare you? That's mine. You cannot take that.
The pressure's on me now to come up with one, isn't it?
Yeah. See, all I was able to do was throw really long passes. Used to freak her out how long of a pass I could throw, but that was pretty much my ability there.
So you were like the Ricky Stewart of
without the kicking game or the running game or the rest of the game really. Yeah, but I had a great pass. Man, the passing was phenomenal.
What about talk about Ricky Stewart's kicking game? I've never watched it again because I was so destroyed about it at the time, but that 1990 grand final against Penrith, Ricky Stewart's kicking game was just phenomenal. I've never seen a kicking game like that in my life again. It was amazing. Just his touch finders just destroyed Penrith, created all this awesome field position that day. It was amazing.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. His kicking game was always brilliant. He had such a big bloody boot on him. It'd still be one of the biggest in the game today if he was playing now. Just phenomenal kicker of the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some players can just, for whatever reason, they can just boot it. They boot the shit out of it, whether it's technique or power, or maybe you get some people with a combination of both. Like I think that for a time, Braithen Astor, he could bloody boot the ball pretty far. He was really good at it too. It's just every so often someone just has a big boot on them. It's weird.
I think the good thing too about Ricky too was he was able to find space all the time with it as well. Like he always managed to make it, something that the fullback or the winger had to turn around for, or had to run around for, and just phenomenal.
Yeah, for sure.
It makes you think about going back to fullbacks, say probably nearly 30 years ago now. Like if you took a James Tedesco, halfbacks would be like, I can't hit the ground. This guy keeps getting the ball, or putting the bomb up. Like he keeps catching it. Like I remember, I still remember when a ball would go up in the air and it was 50-50 if the fullback would catch a bomb. And now it's completely different. Like fullback drops one ball and you're like, oh, he's terrible under the high ball,
Yeah, it was a real skill, wasn't it? Like to catch one of those awful brown heavy leather balls. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how players these days would go with those ones, playing with those balls.
Well, we're never going to find out. Hey, we're all calling for a proper retro round to be played, or even one game pre-season where they do all this stuff. They rewind, turn the clock back and do all this stuff, but it just doesn't happen, does it? I'd love to see it. Yeah.
What should we do to make a proper retro round? I think first of all we've got to bring back the 5 metre rule.
Definitely. I would love to see that just to see what happens. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The game might end up 0-0 because the attack doesn't have any room, but I just want to see it. Like, just even if it's a game down at, wherever, like a pre-season game at Henson Park or whatever, just let's do it and just see. Because I agree with you, Fergo. And in fact, that 5 metre rule, if you brought that back across country rugby league and stuff, like the country rugby league numbers are supposedly falling by the hour. If you brought that back to non-professional leagues, I reckon a lot of players would change their mind and start playing again, because to ask non-professional players to play by the 10 metre rule, like that's a massive athletic ask, isn't it? Like
Absolutely, it is.
Elite athletes, that struggle to do it, and then you got people who work through the week in factories and on farms and stuff, and you're asking them to cover 10 metres of tackle. It's a massive ask. Yeah.
Certainly is. That, and I'd bring back, contested scrums and contested play the ball, and make sure Cameron Smith plays one of those games so we can really tell whether he actually is the best bloody hooker of all time.
Yeah,
but
I would make the front row have to wear shin pads.
Shin pads.
Yeah, there's pictures of the players wearing shin pads.
Yeah, that was because the opposing players had had steel cap boots on because they were goal kickers.
I'm going back. I'm going way back. I'm bringing back shin pads and bringing back the old skull caps that was like leather as well. I'm making them wear like jerseys that are 10 sizes too big for them.
So you're also suggesting that maybe we should go further back? Like here we are thinking retro as 70s and 80s football. Are you thinking that maybe we should go back to unlimited tackles?
Yeah, I'm going further back than the Wu-Tang Clan. I'm going back further than 79. I'm going right back to the beginning when it all started.
1908, so you get to kick a goal from a mark. That'll go down with the current NRL community.
Yeah,
what's with these AFL rules in rugby league?
Yeah, I reckon
taking over. Yeah. That episode that you did with it was like a history of the rule changes. That was awesome. That episode. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I know that I did so much research for that episode leading to it.
Did you get enough credit for that, Freaky? Or
I don't think I did. I mean, I just basically researched everything and sent it to Andrew, and I said, just read it exactly word for word, Andrew. And that's how this podcast works.
I've got everyone convinced that I'm a historian. For years, I've just had Freaky doing it all for me.
And in fact, Andrew's just someone I hired. He's an actor.
That's right, yeah. A very poorly paid one.
You just, you're just carrying him, aren't you, Freaky?
Yeah.
I've said all along, I just sort of start the show and then I introduce the charisma and the entertainment after that. And it's my job just to keep him somewhat amused in the conversation.
So he doesn't start talking about other things. Yeah.
Yeah, because the stuff that we talk about off air.
Oh man, yeah.
We don't want to down those roads.
Terrible.
So what else? I reckon another thing we could do for a retro round is bring back a retro referee.
Oh, yeah, Are you just thinking Gummersole straight away?
I would have been great to see Gummersole. I was thinking Greg McCullum. And an idea I used in another episode where we talked about a game where referees would play one another. I think I said that Buzz Rothfield should be ref in a golf cart. I think we could get Greg McCullum in a golf cart, or maybe on one of those things that the cameramen use. What are those segways? He can have one of those.
Yeah.
Just go up and down. Halftime entertainment. He could get a couple married from the crowd because he's a marriage celebrant now.
I like the thought of Wayne Bennett being the referee, because Wayne Bennett's really good when it comes time to sit down for the rules committee, because he sort of looks at his team, looks at what he wants for his team and says, well, we should change the rule to do this. And it just so happens to always be the best thing for his team. It's fantastic.
Yeah, like when he lost the grand final in Golden Point and then didn't want Golden Point anymore. Yeah, like that.
100%.
Yeah. Just on referees, like back with those blokes like McCallum and Stone and Annesley and all those referees, they were bosses, weren't they? Like the players never went up to them like they do to the modern refs and gave them a verbal. You just wouldn't. You just wouldn't go up to Greg McCallum and do that, because he would just go. He'd just send you off straight away if you did that to him. I reckon. Yeah.
I reckon if we had him mic'd up too, McCullum probably would have said to a few players, "Stop acting like a dickhead, piss off," and just finger in the air with a point to the bin, and the player would just sort of skulk off the ground.
Yeah.
Run off, don't walk. Okay, and they start jogging. You're like being scolded by your father.
Yeah. And then one day, Steve Roach crossed the line and patted Eddie Ward on the head, and then that was the end of him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was out.
And
that was the Sam
Burgess like brain snap. That was.
Yeah. I still remember the controversy over that. That was the worst thing you could ever do.
That was massive, eh?
Yeah. What did he cop for that? Like, he copped ages for that, I think.
Well, the thing is, he had two charges because when he come off the field, he actually spat at the ground near the linesman who pinged him for the penalty in the first place.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so he got done for the spitting as well as the patting on the head. I should try and find out how much that was.
Yeah.
It was in 1990, I know that much. It was against Manly.
Yep. Oh. Wow.
Yeah, that was like almost a viral moment for rugby league. That was absolutely massive. I remember that. That was crazy. Like they talked about that for like a week, which was a long time back then.
Yeah. No, you think about that, don't you? Like some of the moments over the years that have happened, and if only social media was happening. Like, can you imagine what would have happened for that crossbar moment in the '89 grand final?
Yeah,
that would have broke Twitter down, I reckon. That was incredibly dramatic. Yeah.
Well, I always think about when the Canberra Raiders dropped the Winfield Cup off the back of the car on the highway and it smashed. And like, I just imagine the 57,000 different things that would have come out of that. Like, they don't respect the competition and all this crap. It'd just be like, it would have gone on and on the whole off season.
Yeah, I was going to say, Steve Roach got 5 weeks for that.
Is that all?
Yeah.
I thought it was something like 10 or whatever. Yeah.
I thought it was too. It happened in round 16. He came back for round 22.
Wow.
There you go.
So what would you get now? What do you reckon? Say a player does that now. I reckon they'd get 15.
It's hard to tell because you see they were giving players 1 week for touching the referee, to get them out of the way or something. Really innocuous, innocuous sort of stuff there. They're just a gentle touch. So you get a week. Tapping them on the head because it's not really threatening. It's just being an arsehole, really. I don't know if it would be too much different.
It's have they worked out Burgess's charge yet for the contrary conduct around the face? Have they worked that out yet?
I think he went straight to the judiciary, didn't he?
I think they're meeting tonight, aren't they?
Oh, okay, so you got that, and so you compare that to tapping a referee on the head. Like tapping a referee on the head is just the worst thing ever. So. It just doesn't make sense, does it? Yeah.
No, it's interesting though because I thought when they made that change, I think it might have been last year where they said we're not going to address the referees up in pink anymore. I think that was a subtly really good move because it just there was something about the way that referees were getting treated, and it still happens, but. I don't think it helped that having them run out wearing pink like they were 3-year-old little girls, It just didn't work well. And so I was glad to see that change come in.
What should they wear to be a bit more dominant?
Oh, yeah.
But that's
what if
such
they
a
carried
good point.
A gun?
Like in Brazil, like the referees in Brazil. No, was that in Brazil or Argentina, wherever it was?
Oh, somewhere over there.
So you're gonna get on side pretty fast, aren't you? Like
he comes out with a Glock. I warned you once. Don't make me warn you again. Yes, sir.
So stop wearing pink and carry machine guns, and you'll be sweet.
Yeah. Or just like dress up as the Ultimate Warrior from the wrestling, like giant shoulder pads with spikes on them and stuff.
Have to be built
face
like
paint.
Too, though.
Yeah, you'd have to be ripped. Yeah.
They try and get ripped, some of those referees, don't they? Like, you see them with, like, big biceps and stuff.
Yeah.
And what are you doing that for? You're a referee. Like,
They still only weigh 60 kilos. Luke Brooks still looks bigger than him.
Yeah. No, I don't get that. Like, when they zoom in on them and they do the bunker thing, why has that bloke got arms? Like, it's ridiculous.
That's the one thing they don't need.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like my referees being fit and healthy.
No,
I like
you
them
don't,
to look like they're old men that are like rugby union has this down pat still because their referees still look like math teachers.
That was it, wasn't it? And back in the day, they did. Like Mick Stone. He carried the look off brilliantly, didn't he? Bald moustache. He was good.
Yeah, he was great. And Greg McCallum, I always liked him with the big beard and a little bit of a belly on him.
Yeah,
he just looked like my dad.
Gavin Badger's trying to pull it off, so full credit to him.
Yeah, but they're a bit scrawny and fit.
Yeah,
it's not good. And I'm not slurring Greg McCallum. I thought he was one of the greatest refs we've ever had. But I think more refs need to just have a few more pies.
And if they did that, there'd be a lot more respect, wouldn't there?
Bloody oath!
Yeah.
You get out there, you get a grizzled look on your face, and don't have conversations with players when they come up to you and they want to discuss something. Says, "Mate, I've made my ruling. All right, go to your room."
What about the other day when I forget which game it was. It might have even been the Penrith game against the Warriors. Maloney was trying to have a word to whichever referee it was, Sutton or whoever, and he said something like, "I'm the captain. I want to talk to you. You got to listen to me," or something like that. And the referee said, "No, I don't have to. Just because you're the captain, I don't have to." Like it's just, it's just funny how the players think how it is, and the referees think how it is.
Yeah, I like that. I like when the referees have some balls, basically, and just tell the players go away. I like that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yep.
The other thing that I like doing too is defending the referees on social media, because it just makes everyone get cranky. Like they'll come out, every game there's some sort of ref fault going on. They'll go in there and say, "Oh no, that was a good call."
It's great, isn't it?
It's great when better last year.
It's great when you throw a rock into the echo chamber and you can hear it like bouncing off all the walls.
Yes,
it's like the one that I do is because I go to a lot of footy and I go to a lot of Roosters games because I live around there. And I go to Roosters games and knowing that the crowd is shit house, I know, but I take pictures from angles to make it look like there's a good turnout. And then I post that on Twitter and say, "Good turnout here," and just the gronks who get back to me and say, "You're taking that from an obscure angle," and my thought is, well, you're looking at it from an obscure angle as well. Like
exactly,
you're looking at it from front on. Like, how's my angle any more obscure to yours? Like, I love doing it. It's just a guarantee. Yeah, it's like stirring up an ant's nest. It's really fun. Yeah.
And you do it so calmly too. That just pisses people off even more.
Yeah. I caught one bloke out once. I was at a Titans Roosters game at the SFS. I think it was 2 years ago, and the Roosters and the Titans had this weird stretch where every game they played it was raining. It used to always rain, and it was always on a Monday night. So had the Roosters plus rain plus Monday night, and it was just guaranteed no one would turn up. And so I'm there, and I did the same sort of thing. And this guy posted a picture of this bloke sitting by himself, and I recognised that picture from the year before. I said, "Mate, you're not even here. That picture's a year old." And then he just disappeared. I don't know why.
Remember when the Daily Telegraph took pictures of the Roosters crowd during Super League and they counted everyone in the crowd to show that the ARL was fudging their attendance figures?
Yeah, that was Penrith, wasn't it? It was Roger Cowan and Don Feltus and stuff.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Because at the time, Penrith were considered one of those clubs that were running close to the I don't know what you'd call it,
the criteria, and then it rained in Gosford and they were sweet.
That's right. Poor Norths, yeah.
Poor Bears.
Like I know that not everybody can get to the footy, and someone like me can because I'm mobile and don't have that many away from work commitments. But why put shit on the crowd if you're at home watching it on TV? It's like complaining about the traffic when you're sitting in traffic.
It's because it's fun, James. It's because it's fun. And the Roosters don't belong in the competition. They're They're the plaything of a rich man in the eastern suburbs. That's why it is.
and they should be moved to Adelaide. Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. Adelaide Roosters. And then and what was it? The Sydney Rabbitohs.
Yeah, the Sydney Rabbitohs.
That would just fire everyone up.
Was that your idea?
I'd have South come over and take over the Bondi region. They could just be all of Sydney.
I liked last week, Freaky, when you were pretending you had the CEO's job for the day.
Oh yeah, that was
and in your first day you do all these things. Geez, I laughed when you I laughed because for all the right reasons. That one of your first actions would be to buy out rugby union and shut it down. Yeah.
My idea was to keep it going. I was going to just buy into it, right? Buy it basically, and just say to Raylene, just keep doing what you do. Just keep doing it.
Because that in itself will, take care of things.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then anytime a player wants to go to the High Court and sue the ARU or Rugby Australia, then that's not coming out of the rugby league coffers. They're running themselves. If they can't afford it, then bad luck.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah.
Just thinking of things that you say that upset people on Twitter, and I've done that once or twice. I used to say when Jamie Soward played for the Panthers, I used to constantly say, because people would get on Jamie Soward, and I used to just tweet, Jamie Soward's a better person than all of you people, and Jamie Soward this year has earned more money than you lot will earn in a lifetime, and Jamie Soward's going home in a luxury car today, just things like that. And people used to get so pissed off about it. It was fantastic.
And the modern Jamie Soward is Nathan Cleary. Yeah. So you're not allowed to say anything positive about Nathan Cleary.
Yeah.
If you do, you're in Twitter jail. It's funny. Yeah.
People were going at me about Nathan Cleary, and I was like, I'm not part of the Clearys. I'm not a Cleary. Yeah. It's really weird.
I find that interesting about Nathan Cleary, though, because last year when the Tigers, there was that stupid rumour the Tigers were looking at poaching him to try and keep Ivan Cleary as the coach there. A lot of Panthers fans saying, you can't have him, that's not right. And then as soon as Panthers form starts going down, Cleary's shit.
Yeah. Yeah, aren't league fans the best? Yeah, they're awesome.
Not fickle much.
Yeah, it happens too when the Tigers bring somebody on board, and then they just become an immortal.
That's right.
Yeah, and especially if that player comes from one of the other Sydney clubs.
Yeah.
Then how good's this? And it happened with Maguire as well. Like when he came on, everyone was bragging that, we've got a premiership coach, what does Penrith have? And then, dead set, it was about a month ago, the discussion was whether Maguire should be sacked or not. It's like, holy shit, which is it? Yeah.
So this is the thing, you've got to look at where the Tigers have always come from, because it's usually always a worse place than what they've just done.
Yeah, but it's funny though, isn't it? Like, your team is constantly in ninth. It's not as if it's constantly 14th or 15th. Like, things aren't really that bad at the Tigers ever on the field, are they?
It just never gets better. That's the problem.
And there's other clubs who buy certain players to make sure that's well and truly locked in as well, isn't there?
Yeah, look, I've always said the one defining moment of the West Tigers was when we re-signed Bryce Gibbs for 3 years, and then a few months later we let him go to Cronulla. And Cronulla said, we'll only take him if you throw in Andrew Fafita as well. So West Tigers said yes, and then they went and bought Adam Blair.
Oh, gosh. That's awesome.
That just typified how the West Tigers were run.
Was Andrew Fafita at Wests, was he?
Yeah, his first few years were at the Tigers. He even played first grade there for a few years.
Forget that. Yeah.
Everyone, he just came through the same time as Aaron Woods. And everyone knew Fafita was going to be gold. And shipped him off straight away. And the Sharks got Bryce Gibbs practically for free because the Tigers were paying for him. And they gave a big deal to Fafita. It was probably about $300,000, I think. We were only paying him about $100,000.
Yeah. And the other one that always confuses me about the Tigers is Josh Addo-Carr. Like, was there nobody in that club that knew that this guy was, if not at the time, he was going to fill out a little bit and get even faster and faster and more skillful. So let he's our Martin O'Fire for the next 10 years. Let's hang on to him. And then he just went with Melbourne, didn't he?
Yeah. Beattie was another one that did the same thing with him.
Oh, God.
That's right. But at least he's got Shane Elford.
It just seems of late that these episodes tend to be turning into me complaining about how shit the Tigers are.
Just kicking the shit out of Andrew. It's like, what's it like to follow such a team? And yeah, I try and not do that too often, but it just happens every episode, and we just fall into it.
It's hard to ignore.
Yeah,
I loved it when in the lead up to that first Penrith Wests Tigers game, where Penrith won 9-8, and they interviewed Mansour after the game, and he said, "Yeah, it was a long week. There's a lot of Ivan this week." Yeah, it's just So obviously the players notice all this chatter as well that's going on. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, the one thing that happened too is when Freaky broke the horrible news to me that Justin Potato had been retained by the Tigers. Was it a week or two ago?
Yeah.
I said on the podcast, you watch, it won't be long and we'll already be talking about Ivan Cleary again. And after the episode, I went and looked on the news websites, and sure enough, there's an article there. His first day back, and he's whinging about, my relationship with Ivan Cleary is no good anymore. And, that's all he talks about. He's like a jilted ex-lover.
Yeah, well, it cuts deep, doesn't it? All this stuff.
You betrayed me. This is the same bloke who didn't know whether he was sacked or resigned from Penrith in the first place.
Yeah.
It's genius. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, well.
Next topic.
What's the next one? We've got Topo because all right, let's talk about the Kangaroo Tours, because I really only experienced probably one, and I've talked to Andrew about this, and that was 1994. I credit 1994 for destroying my sleeping patterns as an adult, because I would stay up and watch the Kangaroo Tour games on a tiny little colour TV in my bedroom and loved it, absolutely loved it. I don't know that you could bring back Kangaroo Tours as they used to be, especially the real old ones, but what do you reckon about Kangaroo Tours? Could we have them back in some capacity?
You could, obviously not the same as the, 3 tests against Great Britain and 3 against France and 14 tour games against clubs. Like, that'd just be like a steamroller that goes through Britain, killing all the enthusiasm of the towns.
I'm back in it. Oh, you just got me. I'm back on board. Let's do that. That sounds great.
And that's the meaning of life.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you... they keep talking about how impossible it would be from a time point of view, but I mean, if you think about it, players are used to flying now, so you just go there, take a week to recuperate from the flight, and then you've got enough players to play 2 or 3 midweek games, don't you? I don't know. I'd love to see it back. I agree with you, Freaky. Yeah.
It was a 40-man squad, I think they used to name, something like that.
Yeah.
In the older ones, yeah. I think the more modern ones were 30-man squads.
Oh, okay.
But you could go over there and have because you used to only have 2 men on the bench in the 90 tour. So you could go over there with essentially 2 full squads. Yeah. But the way you do it now is you do the same thing. You pick 2 full squads to go over, so 34 players that get named, and you go over there instead of playing against all the club teams, because there's no point. That'd be just carnage. You just have Australia go over and play against the other international sides: Wales, Scotland, Ireland. 1 against them. Play 3 against Great Britain. Play a test against France, and then have the ring-in part of the side, even though they're still going to be miles above. See if they'll play 1 or 2 games against the other nations, like Italy or Greece or something like that, just to help those areas out and get a bit of support out there. And you'd have a tour go a bit more global, so you could go from there across to US, play 1 or 2 games over there, and come down that way, play the Pacific Islands and come home. It'd take a lot more time, but it'd be a bit more spread out, I guess, and you'd be playing just against international sides.
Yeah, it'd be like using the Kangaroos as a real kind of promotional tool for the game. Hey, across the world. But that'd be great. Like I used to love my first Roo tour that I remember is 1986, and that was
wow.
the second. Well, I think they called them the Unbeatables because Invincibles was taken up by 82. But I remember as a kid, I don't know why it mattered so much, but it was that last test. I think it was at Central Park at Wigan, and it was the last of the
Tesco now.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Tesco.
I'm just regret not being able to go there. Like, it would have been a lovely ground. But it was the last game of the tour, and Australia had to win it to complete the undefeated tour again. And I don't know why, but I still can't remember riding a result as much as that one. And I think what it was like now we could easily do it. Like, the gap has widened a little bit between Australia and Great Britain, but I think at the time, like in the mid '80s, Australia wasn't what it is today. Like, we were like massive underdogs, and we didn't have that much to do with the rest of the world as far as sport goes. So achieving something like an undefeated tour, undefeated Kangaroo Tour, was just a massive achievement. Yeah. Funny how things change.
What a brilliant... Do you want me to go through the Australian lineup for that game?
Oh, yeah. All
right.
Just amazing. You talk about your classic like Raiders teams of the mid-90s, but that team was just an all-star team, wasn't it?
Yeah, you had Gary Jack, Michael O'Connor, Brett Kenny, Gene Miles, Dale Shearer, Wally Lewis, Peter Sterling, Greg Dowling, Roy Simmons, Paul Dunn, Mal Meninga in the second row, Brian Niebling, Bob Lidner, and on the bench was Terry Lamb and Les Davidson.
Yeah, that's that does it, doesn't it?
That's powerful. Everywhere in the park, that's just rock solid. That is.
And the thing is too, like Lewis and Sterlo was such a good combination.
Yeah.
It was like they grew up with each other. They were just such a good halves combo. Like, it was terrific.
Would have been great to see them playing like club level, see what sort of damage they could do to opposition side.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And if you got the page up, Fergo, look, what was Great Britain's team for that?
Right,
that wasn't a bad side itself. That was really good.
This was pretty good too. They had Joe Lydon, Henderson Gill, Gary Schofield, David Stevenson, John Basnett, Tony Myler, Andy Gregory, Kevin Ward, David Watkinson, Lee Crooks, Chris Burton, Andy Goodway, Harry Pinner, and Ian Potter was on the bench.
It wasn't as good as I thought it was.
No, they had a good forward pack there.
Yeah, and Andy Gregory at half. Yeah.
So here's a question for two of you, right? Because for some reason people think I just love bashing the Poms. I don't know why. It might have to do with the 20 years that I've been doing it. But who would you say are the top 3 British players you've seen play the game?
Oh, you go first, Fergo.
All right. Ellery Hanley?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. It's a bit of a drop from Martin Afire.
Mm-hmm.
And it dropped off pretty quick there. Gareth Ellis.
Oh, really? You'd have Gareth Ellis?
Yeah. Mate, he was brilliant at the Tigers. I'm going to have some bias there.
Wow.
I'd go Gary Schofield, and I know once you pick his game apart, he just brought star power to the game. I loved hearing his name, loved watching him. Yeah. Jason Robinson, I thought he was pretty good. And who was that? The guy in the '87 grand final. It wasn't Eddie Ward, was it? No. Who was the Pommy who flew over about a week before the '87 grand final for Manly?
Oh, yeah.
Can't think of his name. And he played in heatwave conditions in the '87 grand final.
At the SCG.
Yep. He was so good I can't even remember his name. So there you
go.
Sure.
The forwards?
Yeah.
Was it Kevin Ward?
Kevin Ward. Sorry, yeah. That bloke was just like he just mongrel personified. He loved watching him. Yeah. And players like Barry McDermott over the years.
I liked Barry McDermott. I liked him. I thought he was a pretty handy player. He was like he he didn't feel the need to talk himself up either, which was great. He just went out there and played. It's kind of like, I like James Lowe's as a hooker. I thought he was another one like that, where it's like, all these other players got talked up and Jimmy Lowe's would just go out there and just play pretty well. And I think he's the best British hooker that I've seen play the game. But my three would be Bobby Goulding, my good friend Bobby Goulding. I love Bobby Goulding. And he was the last half that really troubled Australia, where it was just he would do things and it was just that he was a pain in the ass to play against because he wouldn't do what you expected him to do. He was just, difficult to play against. Martin Offia, you couldn't go past Chariots. And, Hanley. They'd be my three.
There you go. So they have had some good players over the years, haven't they?
Yeah, and Mackinson, obviously, world's best player this year.
Yeah.
So,
did he win that poll that you did the other day? Or
he got edged out, hey?
Yeah, I think he got edged out. But then again, it was biased because it was mostly people who watch rugby league who voted in that.
Yeah, you don't want that.
That was a problem we had there.
I love the tension between Britain and Australia, like because any bagging that we do, we're ignorant. But can you imagine how? Oh no, you just can't imagine that comparison, can you? Like,
see, this is where I built my empire, right, in trying to educate the Poms on rugby league. And so it started early when they'd say, "Oh, Kieran Cunningham's best player in the world," and I was like, what the hell are you lot talking about? What about Andrew Johnson? They're like, no, it's Kieran Cunningham. He played 25 good minutes against Australia in, 2000 or something. And it's like, what are you talking about? And they went on with that shit until he retired. I used to say that Kieran Cunningham was my favourite morbidly obese player of all time. And they never used to like that. It was really, they didn't understand it. I think any time that you can, support a player with a solid D cup, it's fantastic. But it just they love players. Like I remember arguing about Stuart Fielden was better than Shane Webke, and it's like, are you serious? And they were serious. I remember Willie Peters was almost as good as Peter Sterling. That was another good one.
Wow.
There was some brilliant.
That's a good one.
Yeah, there were some brilliant ones that they'd come up with.
I remember Eddie Hemmings during the final stages of a World Club Challenge. I can't remember who he was playing, but at the time they named the Golden Boot, and Kevin Sinfield just beat out Billy Slater, and our league world just went into meltdown over it, and Eddie Hemmings was going into meltdown over that, saying the Australians have no respect for the British game at all, and I don't know who you'd buy.
Yeah, that's right.
If you were down to your last 800 or 900 grand and you had to choose between Sinfield and Slater, I don't know what way you'd go. Yeah.
Well, you'd have to go with Sinfield because Slater would cost more than 800 grand.
But
I actually, when that happened, I said some things. I can't remember what it was on, whether it was a forum on my web. I think it was my website. Yeah, it was my website, and ended up that getting picked up in the Daily Mail, the Mirror or something over there. And that I was in that about 3 different times for the stuff I was saying about it. And just craziness, absolute craziness. But the thing about that was, you could see them building up to it. Like, they started calling him Sir Kev about halfway through the season, and it was really fake. It was like, what's going on here? And they were talking about how great he was, and they bestowed it upon him at the end of the year, and it kind of made sense what had been happening the previous few months. And it's some crazy shit.
I've got a question for you.
Mm.
You got to pick one for your team. Is it Sir Kev or King Gutho?
Oh, damn.
We need to find out where these two are ranked, and this is the decider.
Sinfield wasn't bad, was he? He was really good.
He was a Pom. He was a Pom.
Oh, okay. Right. I forgot one vital parameter there.
That's the main bit of information. No, look, he was good. I myself would pick Sir Kev.
Would you?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
I think you're going to get more value for money out of Sir Kev.
You know what, Great Britain? You can get stuffed. I'd take Gutherson.
There you go, Parramatta fans. I've helped you out a little bit there.
Wow, that's amazing. So
Yeah.
you've chosen Wally Lewis over Kevin Sinfield.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going with New South Wales' Wally Lewis, Mr. 18th man, over Kevin Sinfield. Definitely, 100%.
I'm writing down this episode number.
At least, bloody Gutherson has played first grade football. Hey.
Mm. Even though according to you, he shouldn't have even played 1 minute at first grade.
That's right.
Exactly.
It's debatable that he's played it, but yeah.
I'm going to interview him in the mag, and I'm going to, I'm going to email you the feature, and you can pin it up on your wall.
I will. You know, I'm going to print it off and do all sorts of things out of that one.
Oh boy.
There's part of, like, I had my followers yesterday saying they hope that he comes into the New South Wales team just to hear me have a meltdown over Gutherson. And it's like, yeah, my followers, they're absolute pricks.
But as you said, you're actually saying that you'd love to see it.
It would be pretty funny, actually.
Well, let's see. It's going to be great for podcast ratings.
It will.
Because it's going to happen. He's 18th man now, isn't he?
They've said that. Well, I've seen rumours suggesting that if Cleary isn't ruled fit by Thursday, then Gutherson is the person to replace him.
Oh, far out! Like,
I mean, it's between him or Pearce.
Oh, they're not going to give Townsend. They're going to give Gutho a go over Townsend.
Yeah, that's my thoughts exactly, mate.
Oh, I know I love Parramatta. Like, I supported them when I was a real little kid. And so this isn't a Parramatta criticism, but yeah, geez, they go nuts over him, don't they? Yeah, they love him. Yeah,
too much.
Yeah. I think that sort of worshipping of a player, though, like, that can be pretty healthy for a fan base. Like, as far as getting involved in the game, like, there has to be somebody who is leading, the charge on and off the field. Like, you need, as a fan base, you need Gutho. Like, he's their hero, even though a lot of people in the outside world don't even rate him. Mm-hmm. Apart from him, there's nobody else at Parramatta who there's no other Sterlo sort of thing. Like, at the moment for Parramatta, it's Gutho. I think that's why they really rate him. I think, yeah.
I think that it can be unhealthy too, as well, though. Like, I look at someone like the Canberra Raiders, and they'll go on and on about, like, some of their players, and they've done this for years and years. Oh, he's a great bloke. He's a great bloke. And it's like, yeah, but he's the reason why you keep losing over and over again. And they just keep worshipping these losers. It's like sometimes you've got to have players that, they're not the friendliest blokes in the world, but they can actually win games and kick goals when it matters and play defence.
Yeah.
There's all that. What are you talking about there?
I don't know. It's just random players, Just randoms.
But sorry, yeah, I did forget him when I was reading about Gutho, didn't I? Yeah. But like, those sort of players to clubs like Para, who operate on the hero worshipping kind of legend status type thing, those players really, they sell tickets and membership and stuff. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny watching Parramatta from the outside now, like, and how their little world operates. Because you go to Bank West, there's heaps of Gutho this and Gutho that. Like, he's like Tim Manor. Like, he's one of their main symbols. So it's funny the value that he has. Off the field as well.
Just shows you what happens when Bevan French is injured. You bring up someone from reserve grade and you call him the king, and then give him $650,000 and say he's the next Wally Lewis.
Brilliant. I'm going to stop talking about this. So
I'm getting on a roll. It'll be like 3 hours later, I'll still be talking about it. We won't even be recording anymore.
Very good.
Poor old Gutho.
What else have we got in here? Okay, what about one referee versus two?
2.
Yeah, 2. I like 2.
Yeah. it's just another set of eyes, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't see. The thing that's happened with refereeing, okay, is that the refereeing standard, in my opinion, has barely changed. It's just the expectations of fans has, and I don't know why. Like for years, we had referees making mistakes, and then all of a sudden, when 2 referees turned up, they went, right, they're now going to be perfect. You go, no, they're still making the same mistakes as 4. They're not making as many because there's 2 eyes there. They're still going to make mistakes. They're human.
And the thing is, though, with today's environment and world and technology and stuff, you can see referees' mistakes in super high def now. So you can just see it better. Like, we can even zoom in on players who have knocked the ball like not on but into an opposition player. So we can even pick that up. And if a referee has missed that, then we're going to be super critical of that.
Yeah, like they're blind.
Yeah. And the best one is when the commentators blow up, and then when they watch the replay, it's like, oh yeah, good decision there. Yeah.
They get the rules wrong. Like they're arguing about something, and the rules are completely wrong that they're saying. Like there was one, I think it might have been last year, and Peter Sterling was blowing up, but then he was describing a scenario that actually didn't happen on the field. And it's like you're arguing about a fictitious event that didn't occur, Sterlo, and blaming the referee. Like, what the hell?
It's up there, isn't it?
Yeah.
The funny thing is, it's not the professional commentators who are making a lot of these blow-ups. It's people who've played the game, hundreds of games, who should know the rules. They've played it often enough. Yeah, you hear Braithen Astor and Corey Parker of the Kings for bloody rest faulting all the time during games. Oh, what's he doing? What's that decision? He's made an absolute that's all right. Move on.
Yeah, what do you do? Yeah.
All right, we got one more one here that we could probably talk about. Saturday afternoon games on the ABC with Johnny Peard.
Yeah, that was gold, wasn't it? Like,
yeah,
you get all your playing done outside, like whatever you had to do, and then like 3:00 was gold. I remember watching this absolute non-event game. It was down at Wollongong Showground. It was about 1989 or whatever. The Raiders and the Steelers, and it was like Warren Boland and Debbie Spillane and on the sideline, and who was the main caller after David Morrow? There was one that came after David Morrow, and he was a ABC legend. It was the voice of ABC Grandstand, and then he had a stint on TV. But those voices were that was iconic of the era, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh,
Wilson.
Yeah, Peter someone?
Yeah. Not Peter Wilson, was it?
Wilkins. Peter Wilkins?
Yeah. Yeah. Was that him? And anyway, they'd have a passage of play, and there'd be a knock on, and knock-ons, at times happening. When a team gets a head of steam up, and there's all this happening, and then it'd be, and he's knocked it on. That was great. I used to love that.
I think that was Peter Wilkins. I used to remember him doing that an awful lot. It was brilliant.
Yeah. He'd be writing each and every play, and he'd get really excited. And yeah, I used to love that about him. But that was gold, wasn't it? 3:00 Saturday afternoon. Yeah.
I used to love the really subtle, blunt sort of comedy that went on between Peard and Beatson on the sideline.
Yeah.
Just have little one-liner quips with one another all the time. It was brilliant to watch.
And it was always... No, exactly.
There's none of that sort of crazy antics that go on now where you got players trying to explain every single play that's gone on that you've just seen with your own eyes.
You see it a bit with Fatty, though. Like, Fatty's still got it. He's still. I really enjoy listening to Fatty commentate because he'll still come up with some stuff that's pretty funny. But yeah, you don't see it too often now. They're all just trying to be, super analytical about the game, and most of them can't do it. Like, seriously, most of them can't do it, which is kind of weird because, the former players, most of them. I think the best one at the moment is Billy Slater. I think he's the best colour commentator that there is. I think he's fantastic. He really breaks down the game so well.
Yeah, and you got like blokes like Cronk on Fox, who was super analytical. And they actually know what they're talking about, and they know how to present that information properly.
Yeah.
I actually like listening to. There's a little video that came out on Twitter just before Origin 2, and it showed Andrew Johns talking to Nathan Cleary about how to put in a grubber and things like this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was very insightful. I thought, how come we've never heard Joey talk like that during a game?
Yeah, because the Channel 9 audience on a Friday night isn't really the sort of arena for it, is it? Mm. I've been working all week. I've got my beer and pizza. Just throw the footy on and tell me one or two facts. That's all I want. I don't want to know, A and B defenders and all that sort of stuff on a Friday night. It's too much, I think. Yeah.
See, Phil Gould used to be great at it, but these days he talks about he gives shout outs and things like that, and it's a little bit random now from Gus. He's just he does the same sort of prep work I do for this podcast. He just turns up, and says whatever and leaves. It's great.
Oh, mate, when you got the runs on the board for people like you can do that, can't you?
Well, as a commentator, a rugby league expert, sometimes you just got to phone it in.
Very good.
Hope that the bloke that you're with actually does some of the legwork for you.
Yeah, it'd be good. It'd be great, Andrew, if that happened.
Yeah, I know. It would be, wouldn't it?
Oh man. Well, I want to thank Samuel James Bayliss for sending us that list, because we've got so much out of that list. That's been fantastic. So thank you, Bartram13 on Twitter. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's your next co-host.
Yeah, we worry about getting co-hosts in because they overshadow us.
No. Well, no, you're doing a terrific job, boys.
And how's the magazine going, mate? Inside Sport?
Yeah, good. We've got a really. So we've got our July issue on sale still. That's the one with Munster on the cover, and I'm hoping for a big Game 3 from him, just so it makes us look good. So yeah, he was a little bit quiet in Game 2, but yeah, there's lots of good stuff in there. There's something for everybody. So yeah, you'll see it on the newsstand. It's the big bright orange one with Munster on the cover. And each newsagent I go into, I've been pulling it out from wherever it is in a newsstand and putting it on top of all the other magazines. So,
I did the same with my book whenever I go to the library.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you should. It's like the law of the jungle, isn't it? You got to do these things.
Exactly right.
No, but it's going good. Our August edition is on sale next week, and it's got a really good story about. It's an AFL cover, but it's a really poignant social issues cover. So I'm really excited as to how that's going to be received. Yeah.
Oh, that'll be interesting. You'll see what that's all about.
Yeah. I don't want to give anything away because it's really excited about that one.
Yep. People should subscribe and to the magazine, and then they can get it and find out for themselves.
That's right. Not like you post it on Twitter and then it's behind a paywall, and then people complain that they can't see it because there's a paywall. It's like, you're firing up because you can't read this story for free. Like, okay.
Because for some reason in their own mind, news used to be free, even though you used to have to pay $1.50 for the newspaper.
Yeah, you never used to go to the newsagent and they just gave you the paper, did they?
That's right. News has always been free, except for all of those times I had to pay for it.
Yeah. No, it's just So anyway, it's out there, and hopefully people keep buying the mag and keeping it going. It seems to be going all right so far, so all good.
Yeah, it's one of the ones that are worth keeping because it's really got a place in Australia sport that there's not really a magazine like it in Australian sport, or even a place where you can get so many different sporting, it's not so much opinions, but just to look at the sports people themselves and their backgrounds and some of their stories and the stories you just don't hear about anywhere else. That's what I have always loved about Inside Sport. So, yeah, everyone get out there, pick up a copy, and, subscribe to it. It's one of the ones that are worth subscribing to.
And it's free of muckraking too. That's the other good thing. You actually get proper journalism in it.
Yeah, no, it's always prided itself on that. So, and this is, we can't write clickbaity stuff. It doesn't work. It just doesn't. It's like, it just doesn't work. So we just keep doing what we do and keeps throwing it out there. And as a last bastion of long form sports journalism.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, you can catch James Smith on Twitter at JamesSmith1001
with all my snarky comments about everything.
I can't believe there's been 1,000 James Smiths on Twitter before you, though.
Yeah. There was. Yeah.
Are we pronouncing that right, by the way, James Smith?
You are. You're very worldly. Yeah.
Excellent.
I started as a bit of a joke when I was signing up to Twitter. I thought, imagine, I'm going to do this for fun. I know I've got a very common name, and I think I got up to about 30 or 40. And I thought, no, I better just go with 1,001 just to be sure. And I must have just scraped in with that one. Yeah.
I thought it might have been a feel good thing. Like you'd made a few comments. And that's how many accounts you've deleted and started up every time you got sick of Twitter.
Oh, that's good. Well, the former editor of Inside Sport, Jeff Centenera, he signed up to Twitter just after me, and he called himself Jeff Cent 1001 just to keep the tradition going.
That's hilarious. I remember the person that used to own at Penrith Panthers, and they had it before the club did.
Really?
And, and they used to run it as the Penrith Panthers one, and then they said, we're going to hand this back to the club, and I'm going to touch them, and I said, sell it to them. Sell it. It's worth so much to them. And they're like, no, I'm just a fan and that. And I was thinking, man, maybe I should buy it off them first. But, they just handed it over.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
God. And then some of the clubs have underscore whatever it is. So you can tell that that's what's happened to them as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you go to Salford, reddevils.co.uk, you see what happens sometimes.
There's a carrot for people.
Wonder who owns that one.
Yeah. Also, I see you said you were getting the Dead End Goal podcast fired up again.
Yeah, because I'm just a bit jealous of all your work and the work of a lot of other podcasts out there. So, yeah.
Stop it.
We love jealousy, though.
Not that I haven't. I subscribe to all these podcasts like yours and This Week in League and Rugby League Digest, and they all pop into the browser every week, and mine's not there. So no, I've taken about 6 months to settle into the editor role. It's a lot of work, and I just thought, well, I sat down of all the things I have to do with the role, and the podcast was kind of a cherry on top that I took away a little bit. But yeah, now that I've settled in a little bit more, I can maybe concentrate on that again. I'm chasing the Canberra Raiders player Alan Tongue this week. He's got a really important role with the NRL, so I'd like to have a yarn with him, and so hopefully that'll be out this week on air and in the mag in some form, and I'll just go from there, see who I can, see which legends I can catch up with. Should be good.
It must be good that when you can almost fold the different things together to a certain extent with the outlet that you've got there at Inside Sport, where you can do a story and then do a podcast and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's what makes it worthwhile, because otherwise it's sort of, because I'm doing it in work hours. Mm-hmm. If I'm doing a podcast in work hours and it's not going to be in the magazine, it's sort of taking the piss a little bit. It's like saying, this is how much time you've got at work. Like you can even just, do a podcast on top of putting the mag out. And that was true in a way, but I just ran out of time. Like when I, in that first 6 months of the year, I was settling into things, and because you've got to work out budgets and all that kind of thing. But I think I'm on top of it now. So I'll see how long it lasts anyway with the weekly stuff. If I disappear, you'll know why.
Hey, we can take over anytime you want, mate.
Yeah. I'll give you some numbers, and you can ring up legends and yeah, chat to them for me.
Yeah, well, we promise we won't swear to keep the content good.
Yeah,
well, I'm sorry. I can't do this. These conditions, too much for me.
Freaky. What'd you fuck that try up in the 89 grand final? Do you feel bad about that?
What's it like to be a piece of shit off the field?
Yeah. Oh, very good, boys.
We'd pump a few episodes out if we do it that way.
Yeah. A few 5-minute episodes.
Yeah, we'll have 30 of them done every day. So they go, this is easy. What are you on about?
Yeah, all good.
Well, good. Well, thanks for popping in, James. It's always great to have you around. You're great to chat with.
Yeah, no, it was so fun, boys. It was, I love talking about footy and the old stuff and the new stuff that isn't working. Lots of fun.
Absolutely, yeah. And being a co-host now, we'll get you on sometime down the line as well when you've got a bit of spare time up your sleeve.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah. After deadline's a good time. It's when I'm positive about life and everything again. So
that's hilarious.
Yeah. No, terrific. Thanks heaps, boys.
Thank you.
No worries. And on that lovely note, we'll say goodbye. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll catch you next time.